You're in a meeting. A question comes your way, and you actually know the answer to this one because you've done the work and you're prepared. And then your mind, it goes completely blank. There's nothing there. And it's not because you don't know the information, but because suddenly your brain, it just feels very crowded. If you've ever experienced this, here's the important thing to know. That freeze is not usually a sign of incompetence. It's often a sign that your brain is doing too much at the exact moment to speak. Today, I want to unpack the hidden reason smart professionals like you freeze right before they speak and a simple framework to recover your voice when it matters. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Frustrated to Fluent. I'm Devon, the founder and CEO of the ECA Institute, and we're here to unpack the moments when communication either builds trust or quietly weakens it. And if you work in healthcare and if you've ever struggled to find the right words, I created a short guide called 10 Phrases Every Healthcare Professional Should Know. You can download it below. Now, most people assume freezing happens because they weren't confident enough or they weren't prepared enough. But in high pressure moments like meetings, presentations, leadership conversations, patient discussions, difficult questions, something more complicated is happening. Your brain is multitasking very aggressively. And sometimes that's exactly the problem. Today, I'm going to unpack the hidden reason smart professionals like you freeze right before they speak and a simple framework to recover your voice when it matters. All right, let's get into it. Freezing is rarely an empty mind problem. It's usually a traffic jam problem because in that moment, your brain isn't just trying to answer the question. It's also doing a number of things like processing the room, you're reading facial expressions, you're anticipating judgment, you're editing your wording, and you're also quietly asking, how do I sound competent while I do this? That is a lot of simultaneous processing at the same time, especially for very smart people, because smart people, they don't often lack thoughts. They usually have too many. Your working memory, which is the mental workspace you use for speaking and reasoning, it can get very overloaded. And it's not because your brain fails, it's just because it gets crowded. Here's a second piece people don't talk about enough. Your nervous system doesn't always distinguish between physical threat and a social threat very well. To your brain, sounding uninformed in front of colleagues or giving the wrong answer or losing credibility, those can register as meaningful risk. So your system shifts. Clear thinking becomes harder. Language becomes harder. Accessing information becomes so much harder. And it's not because you suddenly are less intelligent, but it's just because your brain temporarily prioritized protection over performance. This is one reason people can know their material cold and still go silent in a conference room or during a presentation or halfway through answering a very direct question. And then there's a third hidden process, perfectionism. Not perfectionism in the personality test sense, communication perfectionism. The pressure to say it flawlessly or to sound polished, to sound smart or credible, even composed. So instead of looking for an answer, your brain starts looking for the perfect answer. And that's often where the freeze loop begins, because while you're editing internally, the moment keeps moving externally. And unfortunately, here's the irony in that. Trying not to sound wrong often creates the hesitation you're trying to avoid. Quick question. Where does this happen most for you? Does it happen in meetings, presentations, interviews, high pressure situations, or conversations? Let me know in the comments. I'd really like to know because trust me, you are not alone in this. So, what do you actually do when this happens? Not tomorrow or not after the conference, but in the moment? The first thing you do is pause on purpose. First, stop treating every pause like a failure. A 2-second pause often sounds much longer to you than it does to everyone else. But in reality, purposeful pauses usually signal composure, not collapse. Sometimes the most useful thing you can do is give your brain a structured beat to reconnect. A small regulation trick is the two quick inhales through your nose and then one longer exhale. That is a simple nervous system reset, and it's also quietly very effective. The second step is to buy yourself some thinking space. Don't let silence become panic. Use a bridge phrase. So, for example, that's a good question. Let me think about that for a second. Or, so you're asking about timeline implications? This does two things. It buys you time and it gives your brain a clear starting point. Step 3, serve, don't perform. This shift matters more than people realize. Move from how do I sound impressive to what does this person actually need from me right now? You don't need a perfect monologue. You need usefulness. You need clarity, and you also need direction because sometimes one clear point is stronger than a flawless 5-minute answer. So the simple structure, the main point, one reason, one example, done. That gives your brain rails to run on. So the next time your mind goes blank under pressure, remember this. You're probably not dealing with the lack of knowledge. You're dealing with an overloaded processing system because it's trying to think, evaluate, protect yourself, perform, and communicate all at once. And once you understand that, you can stop interpreting the freeze as proof that there's something wrong with you. Because more often than not, nothing is actually wrong. You just need a better operating manual for high pressure communication. All right. If this video helped you, please hit like and subscribe. I post new videos every week to help you build real world communication skills in your professional life. Also, if you work in healthcare and you've ever struggled to find the right words in a high stake moment, I created a short guide called 10 phrases every healthcare professional should know. You can download that below. And if you liked this video, check these other ones out too. All right, that's it for today, and I'll see you next time. Take care.